On this week's show, very special guest Brandon Jones from GameTrailers.com, talking all things Infinity and all things gaming. All this and more in episode 104 of the Inside Infinity podcast. Hello everyone, welcome to a very special episode of the Inside Infinity podcast, episode number 104, recorded September 14th, 2015. You all know me, I said Jason almost, you all know Jason.
Dude, that's not, no, you don't have the right accent, buddy.
I don't, forgive me, Jason's run the show this week, so it's a little bit, this whole Star Wars set is confusing. But anyway, that's besides the point. I'd like to introduce a very special guest of ours, Brandon Jones from GameTrailers.com. Brandon, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm so stoked to finally be on here, man. We've talked about this forever, and I just gotta keep up with it. Busy. Yeah, I haven't even streamed Infinity yet. That's how busy I am. I have yet to actually stream the game on our channel. So
and you do a weekly Infinity streaming, Toy Box Tuesdays, right?
Every Tuesday, yeah. When I can. I missed out on a couple weeks, obviously since launch. Mm-hmm. But it's just a great game to come back to. It's a game like any other good multiplayer game, like a lot of the popular multiplayer games that you see on they're popular on Twitch and on streaming channels. It's just got so much longevity to it. You know, there's a lot you can do. It's like checking out just stuff people are building, or stuff that you want to build, or stuff that you've built with the team, getting suggestions from the chat and stuff.
Absolutely. And so, have you actually had a chance to get hands-on with 3.0 yet? I know you've been too busy to stream, but have you played it?
Well, reviewed it, yeah. So I did a bunch of stuff internally.
And
played it a bunch, but and have played it just like a ton at events.
Right,
but,
you've been on Toy Box TV.
I'm caught up. I just haven't had a chance to just dive in and goof around.
Well, I'm sure you're excited because like you said, you've done a weekly Toy Box stream or Disney Infinity stream, and it's nice to have that new, polished, fresh content that you can dig deep in each and every week, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that you can do. Like, one of the things that's my favorite is just kind of like running through the stuff that everybody builds. Mm-hmm. The stuff that people build are crazy, and I can't wait to see. I mean, I can actually throw that question to you guys. Like, and just since launch, has anybody kind of hit the ground running? Are there any cool stuff so far? They haven't had an official challenge yet, have they?
No,
it's coming up real soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm sure there's going to be some great stuff. I've seen some great stuff already. I've built some great stuff already. It's not part of the challenge, though. I don't know whether, Will, you saw the This Week of Final Bossman. We've got to give props for your blindfolded identification of Disney Infinity figures. In fact, Will, I'm devastated I can't reach through the screen and give you one and put you to the test. It was almost messianic what we saw there. I don't know whether you have been the chosen one to lead us into the promised land of a bug-free toy box, but it was some good stuff. Huge props there.
It's an interesting part of your brain. Yeah, it was interesting trying to it was funny, when I first grabbed Elsa, my brain's just like, oh no, I don't even know, what a bizarre shape, it's funny. It's being blind. It's an interesting challenge. I was actually really confident, but I'm like, maybe I'll get all wrong. I don't know. He was wrong. Give me a Jedi first. You can definitely discern that lightsaber. Anybody, you can spot that.
That's
if it's double bladed, there's only one person that could be. So you can narrow it down.
that was really cool. So it's as I said, it's as someone who streams Disney Infinity a lot, huge props to you for keeping it up all these years, particularly in the 2.0 years. I like to refer to as the dark years, or the dark year. As a non-Marvel fan myself, it can be difficult to keep that ball rolling, but the toy box is cool, so it continues to be, but we'll discuss that more later in the show.
So for those that don't know, Brand, you and I, we got to meet the first summit, and we hung out a little bit at this year's summit as well. So I got to ask you, for those that may have not seen your Toy Box Tuesdays or seen your coverage of the game, what is it about Disney Infinity that you enjoy so much, or that you're just attracted to?
I always start with Disneyland. That was kind of my introduction to everything Disney. I grew up, Pinocchio was my favorite film. I had that on VHS. they were, some of the live action stuff, like, even though like in my elder years, like I had to go back and watch like Bedknobs and Broomsticks and all just some weird ones that I missed.
Right.
But when I was 2, I went to Disneyland, and that was just everything. I mean, it was just like there was no, from like the food to the clientele to the just the attractions to like all the media stuff that they do. One of my favorite video games is the Toy Story ride and California Adventure, where you're like going around on 3D. Like that's a video game. That's one of my favorite video games ever. So I just love the imagination behind what they do. And it's funny, I actually got in trouble because I made a video right before Infinity launched because I thought it was just like a Skylanders, ripoff. I was just like, oh, I really want you guys to get back to your glory days and keep making these awesome games, and like, you're doing such big things on, this film and Broadway and television, and it's just like video games. You're just not really, you don't have like a big investment. And like, they came out at E3 and were like, the hell's wrong with you, man? Like, why do you, like, have you played the game yet? I'm like, no, okay, I'll play it. And then just instantly fell in love with it. And so I think it's kind of one of the reasons I like Disneyland. It's like, there's not really one thing that I like more, I think, than any other. It's just like playing stuff that people created is a lot of fun, building stuff. I'm usually less of like an actual tactician in the toy box. I just kind of like to see if I can realize something in 3D. And I'm not the biggest Marvel fan, but like enough. Like I like Spider-Man enough that I really had fun with a lot of stuff in 2.0. So yeah, I think it was just the huge investment that Disney did, this company that I love and these franchises that I love. To if you're telling me like this is the official Sorcerer Mickey video game figure, it's like there's no way I can't buy that. Like that just crossed right over that wall that I can put up every time I go into the Disney store. I'm just like, I don't need this. I was like, forget it. I mean, that's like, it's over. So yeah, lots of stuff.
That's cool. Well, you're in good company because Jason and I were huge just Disney fans in general, and then we're also just big gamers. So I think we're all kind of cut from the same mold, which is pretty cool. So. And I gotta be honest, I'm just gonna geek out to you for just a moment, Brandon. This might sound kind of weird, but like you got me through my first couple years of college. That was when I first found GameTrailers.com. This was the early 2000s, probably 2001, and so I've literally been watching your stuff and on your on GameTrailers.com since then, and it's still to this day my sole place for video reviews specifically. So I just gotta give you mad props to that. It's
proud myself. I would cry. Thanks, man. It's funny. I meet people at events that are like from G4 back in the day, and I tell them like, man, when I was first starting Game Trailers, like that was all I did all day. Was watching your stuff while I was working. And so it's like it's cool, and I'm sure there's kids. They're watching Disney Infinity TV right now and geeking out. They'll it'll all come back. But these events are fun, man. I'm addicted to these. Like the summit and D23 this year was a big hit, and they actually have a big presence at PAX in Seattle every year. I remember bumping into Matt Soley last year and joking with him on the show floor, and like Vignacchi wasn't at PAX, like Soley wasn't at PAX. PAX was very non-Infinity this year. I was bummed because it's fun. This game is fun at events.
Yeah. So what did you think of this year's summit and their inclusion at D23?
I think the D23 play was genius. Scheduling wise, it worked out really well. Like it just kind of led up right into. It was kind of hard for me to justify that with people at Game Trailers, where they're just like, "Wait, how long are you gonna be out?" I'm like, "Okay, I'm coming back on Friday, but I might be gone part of Thursday, but I don't know." And they were just like, "Just for Infinity Jones, like really?" I'm like, "Come on." Yeah. And that needs to be discussed. Is like, this is not one of the games that my audience is clamoring for. Game Trailers, like, this is, it's a particular type of nerd that just like gets infatuated with this. So worth it. I think it definitely grew up from last year. Like, I think Vignacchi was kind of downplaying last year. He was like, "Oh, we're in fabulous, Salt Lake," but it was really fun to go to Avalanche, and like see the team. To just see, like, there was one room that just had like figure prototypes, and it's like they must have screwed something up. Where is it? It's like there's got to be something here I'm not supposed to see. So I think for the kickoff, I think that was really smart. And then it's so cool to see to see the director of Tangled, that he's talking about Infinity and getting really excited, and like to see like Disney Parks to get involved in the summit, to see like other huge, divisions within Disney be like, Infinity, yeah, what can we do? Let's get involved. And like, that's only going to happen more and more, as it keeps going. But Yeah, like in the park, at a stage, at California Adventure, it's like they don't top that next year. I'm gonna be all depressed.
Right? Yeah, and how do you top that? Like a Disney cruise, that was the buzzword that was going around at this year's
Ooh.
summit.
Yeah,
Or
because
Shanghai.
isn't Pirate Steve like the Disney cruise pimp where he's got the
Yeah. Jason's been
he's
on.
got the band, like everyone's got to hook up with Steve.
Yeah.
You get the band exclusive. How do we get Jason at the next summit? That's what I want to know.
Smuggle.
Missing out.
I'm just gonna smuggle.
Got to make that happen. We got to do a GoFundMe
Vote
or
for my
something.
toy
We gotta-
boxes. If that's what you want to vote for my toy boxes, I don't know. We'll see.
Or next year, Sully brings you as opposed to a jar of Vegemite. He'll just pack you in a suitcase.
Right? Yeah, I would much prefer that. I'll take the Jason Haynes dare. How about that? We should really do. I like just started dabbling in Periscope, and like we should set something up. We should do just like a big. Because they're there all night, and they like kicked us out because we couldn't be in the park.
Yeah.
And last year we're just at a hotel, so I got to like hang out there all night where they were building. At like 10:30 sharp, they're like, "All right, get out." Anyway, get out of here. So like, if that happens and like we can't actually stay there, it'd be fun to just kind of stream that night and talk about like what they're doing and like.
It would have made sense.
So
wouldn't
involved.
It
All
would
the
have
toy
been
boxes
awesome.
are really good.
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
It would have been awesome to have media there covering that. Like the media that wanted to stay should have been able to stay. That would have been a great time to do interviews and off the cuff stuff. It would have been great for the greater community to get more insight into those moments, I guess.
Let's see if I can get us a stage next year, man. I'll see if I can
Good.
have
Do like
official media coverage.
like a panel, like a PAX
I mean,
panel.
speaking of panels, you were on a panel. You were up on stage during the summit. That was cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. It's awesome. I was like, it was really interesting being up there with that caliber of talent, and each kind of talking about their areas of focus, and that was pretty awesome, and definitely enjoyed it. The only thing I was missing up there was not having Jason sitting next to me. So
Oh, it's all right. I would have ranted anyway. It's all right.
yeah, then you would have got thrown us off. They're like, oh, we're never inviting these guys back. But
the summit's really great. I mean, you compare that to like BlizzCon or QuakeCon or like these other big events with these huge companies. And Disney's a huge company, but Infinity is like not as big as a Fallout or a League of Legends or a Heroes of the Storm or Warcraft or something like that. So the fact that like they're investing so much in the community and like they're having these events that are so big. And it's just like there's so like guys, there's so much stuff. I'm like cluttering my inbox of just like blah blah blah, this exciting thing, and you get stuff from like Tyler or Allison or any of the team, and it's just like so heartfelt, so so much fun to follow and to like I'll see she'll take pictures, and it's like I don't know where are you, Allison? I don't know where the hell she is this week. It looks like she's having fun. You're just meeting like cool celebrities and like I said, just more and more people get stoked on the game, as it keeps going. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's
We
fun.
were. Shameless plug, Jason, DITV, we were interviewed for, it was actually an article focused on JV and kind of their connection to the community, and it was with the Chicago Tribune. It was posted this last week, and that was the cool thing about that article is that their recognition of this game and its community outreach in such a degree that you don't see very often in the industry, and it's interesting and great to see that noticed as well.
For something that potentially doesn't need it, you can just easily see Disney,
Right.
just not by their history, but just by the size of the company, just kind of being like, well, this is just an interesting. Because Vignacchi said that like this was a test, we weren't like not everyone within Disney was 100% sure that the Infinity endeavor would be successful. So I think they can get over that now.
Absolutely.
Every time they're just like, oh, like before 3.0, it's like, oh, we hope it does well. I'm just like, shut up. I mean, come on, you got to stop. Like, look at Emperor Haynes over there, like in front of, like, are you telling me people aren't gonna get excited about this? Are you telling me people aren't gonna buy that Vader statue? Like, I don't even own Infinity, but like, just man. Yeah.
That's the interesting thing, and I'm looking forward to finding out sort of the analytics on that, on like how many of these figures are selling compared to how many copies of the game are sold. Will the figures way outweigh the copies of the game? That'll be very interesting.
The episode 7 playset will move this game. There's no question in my mind.
I would
at all.
agree. I would totally
Like,
agree.
that playset's gonna hit. That movie's gonna hit. The entire world is gonna fall in love with every part of it. Like just that baby BB-8 toy came out and people just just like lost their minds. Like, anything surrounding that game this Christmas is just flying off the shelves. So
Could you imagine a BB-8 figure, that thing?
yes, I can. Uh-huh. We've only got seen 2 figures from there. We got to get a beginning of Kylo Ren figure. Obviously, they love doing the villains.
Yep.
Still no C3PO or R2D2. Blown away.
Right?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Little R2 with jets and a little like electroshock and stuff. Like,
I think you can lock R2, unlock R2 in the toy box, so maybe we won't get a figure. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yep. Yep, it's going to be interesting for sure, though, to see how Star Wars propels the game. I mean, Marvel definitely was a big push for kind of the greater audience out there, and Star Wars is probably going to have even more of an impact. And like you said, once Force Awakens happens, it's all bets are off then. I mean, that's...
Yeah, it's you know what's kind of fun is it's kind of fun to see like different franchises that kind of lean on the series where it's like, you know, they talk about like, oh, we reached out to Lucas and it's like, you knew you were doing Star Wars. Like you knew when this launched, it's like, okay, we're probably doing Marvel next year. We're probably doing Star Wars after that. And so they like look at Marvel. It's like, okay, what is Infinity going to need to pull off Marvel? Like we're going to need skill trees. We're going to need flight. We're going to need, you know, and then I got to get in and like, oh, you really don't have swimming yet? Like, oh, you don't have like a lot of vehicle stuff or like really in the play sets, you know, and so we like get into Star Wars and it's like, oh, now we're flying around. Now we're okay. We got lightsaber combat and force abilities and stuff. And like, I think and I hope that Finding Dory is that like water push, you know, that like they know that's looming.
Right.
You know, that's call. Not. Is that next year or is that 2017?
I want to say it's 17, but
Yeah,
so then they get that tech. Then they do the Little Mermaid play set. Then they, you know,
yes, a must.
or have a Little Mermaid in the toy box or something. You know, like have her in the hub or you know, it's like. But it's just funny to see them, you know, have to add tech because of whatever you know whatever's hot that year.
Yeah, and it's interesting how they're doing that too, bringing on these developers that have huge strengths in these areas that they're trying to focus on.
That are legit enthused to work on it.
So who's the premier water tech company out there, Brandon?
Yeah.
Who's developing that? Who created Echo the Dolphin?
That's a
Because
good
it's fun to
question.
fix stuff. It's fun for them to come in and be like, "Hey, the driving in Infinity sucks," and now it doesn't. Yay, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Like we actually came in and like admirable job, guys. It's fun, but like we're actually gonna make it fun, you know, because it can be. And I imagine that's like empowering as a developer to just like, you know, this is my thing. This is what we do.
Totally. So Dory, Finding Dory is summer 16, so it matches perfectly
Yeah.
the next
Yep.
version.
Nice.
So with that, actually, Brand, I got to ask you, as a gamer, what do you think of these inclusions with Kingdom Hearts stuff and 3.0?
I'm pretty cool with it. I always thought it was kind of inevitable. Like I actually, I find as I get older and older, I'm way more accepting of just anything that Disney can get their hands on. You know, it's like if they can get involved in something, not because I think in every case they're going to make it better necessarily, because like they've certainly like, you know, swung for the fences and missed. But I remember like a picture came out that had like Iron Man next to like a Pixar character, next to Walt, next to like Mickey, and somebody, like a lot of people on Facebook were like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, I kind of love this actually. And I think Disney would love it too, because he'd be like, wow, I can't even recognize this company now. Like, look how far we've come and look at all of the things, you know, and the fact that like, you know, everyone's clamoring for, you know, Kingdom Hearts stuff. And then like, now they're up there with John Vignacchi and all. It's just crazy. It's fun to see, you know. And he talked a little bit about this. We had him on GT Live a couple weeks ago, and he talked about like how, you know, getting the costume disc was really tough. Getting like the Keyblade was manageable, but I think it's cool. I think it's inevitable. I mean, if Infinity's in it for the long haul, those two properties are going to clash. I guess that already is two properties. It's like 2.5 properties are going to hit. Yeah, not a huge fan of Kingdom Hearts myself. I haven't spent a lot of time with the games.
But it does have a huge fan base, just like Infinity. So, at the very least, for those that are kind of balking at this idea, I think that's a positive that we can take away from it.
I also like Infinity to be challenged. You know, it's like, ooh, that sounds weird. I bet they'll pull it off. I bet they'll, you know, people will get some Sora that just like, I've never seen him look like that. That's cool. What a cool design, you know, for him to actually like mix and look like he belongs with all these other characters. It's like, I believe in those guys. I think they can pull it off.
Really. Well, awesome. That sounds great. What do you say? Should we talk a little bit about the news of the week? Jason, I'm going to throw it to you first to talk about Mario Maker. And Brandon, this is something you actually just recently reviewed. It may kind of seem like it doesn't quite fit. This is an Infinity show, but Jason,
totally fits.
Well, it does fit because, as I said, ultimately it is a toy box, for lack of a better term. It's a community creating tool, and I thought it'd be really interesting to discuss. Firstly, what do you, because I haven't played it either, Brandon has, thankfully, he's reviewed it, I believe. What would you say Disney Infinity could learn, if anything, from what Mario Maker's doing well, compared to specifically the toy box mode of Disney Infinity?
I actually was thinking about Infinity a lot when I was playing Mario Maker. And there was a huge takeaway that I never thought before in Infinity. When I went to this summit, I told a lot of the guys when I was talking to my favorites, you know, like when I pick favorites, I'll admit it, but like went around to some teams and I was just like, hey, what are you building? What are you guys doing? Okay, looking good. And anybody that asked, I told them, you know, I'm like, make your stuff as concise as possible, like as quick as you can sell that toy box, especially not only because like people, like I know you're thinking for longevity and you're thinking of it, people are going to be playing this month after month, you know, year after year after the summit, but like you want to win tomorrow. And if you really want to do a good presentation, like Mighty Gidas, as much as I love her, like Chewbacca's like trying to find that fourth key for like 10 minutes, you're just like, come on, you know, so like you really want to think about pace when you think about building toy boxes. And one of the things that's so marvelous about Mario Maker is the pace of you bouncing between different makers and experiencing new content is 40 times faster than experiencing this stuff with Infinity. Like with Infinity, you have a list and you just kind of go down the list and you go into a toy box, and that toy box, you're probably gonna be in there for like 10, 15 minutes. Cause like these, you know, creators just don't know when to quit. You know, they want to do like the whole complete experience. And so, like, by nature, the definition of a toy box is just this big, huge expanse. Like, how long can I make this thing? How big and epic can I make this? And not that there should be a place for that, but it'd be really interesting to see. I don't even think they can pull off in 3.0, but like going into something like 4.0, if they can like kind of split toy boxes into like those big, huge epic adventures. And there's something to be said for like a really quick thing that you can just jump into, and then maybe come out with a mode where it's just constantly shuffling these at you, because that's what's fun. Like they have a couple of modes in Mario Maker where you just like, it just here this level, and you can skip the ones that are difficult, but and then sooner or later you might recognize a creator that you're like, yeah, that guy keeps making cool stuff, and then you look him up, and it's just quicker. And so the pace of it, I think I'd be curious to see the team experiment with.
And so obviously, I mean, they have, I think we've noticed before, again, I haven't played, but they seem to have nailed the again, for lack of a better term, whatever the Mario Maker levels are called, the toy box discovery side of things. Seems like they've really come up with a smart way of bubbling the really good, fun experiences to the top, and so on. But also, could you speak to, because you played, I assume, I don't know how much of Disney Infinity you actually got to play for your review for Disney Infinity, but how would you compare the teaching experience of Mario Maker to Disney Infinity? Do you think that Disney Infinity did a good job this year with their introduction to the toy box, teaching you the basics of the toys and stuff like that, and how they handled that in Mario Maker?
I think the Mario Maker tutorials were pretty crap. Like that, I said that in the review. That was actually one of the things that bummed me out about the game. Is like you jump into it and they actually have a really charming intro, and then every time you unlock more stuff, they're just like Ghost House, and you're like, oh all right, like what do I, you know, like I unlocked like the ability to move a platform wherever I want, and was like, cool. And like it only took like 5 minutes to figure it out, but like I was just surprised, given that it's Nintendo, like a company that's, you know, family friendly and fun and whimsical like Disney can be, that they didn't have some kind of thread or something that would, you know, introduce each of the elements. Again, it's not rocket science, so like I wasn't like, you know, staying up all night trying to figure out how to like move like question mark blocks, but the hub I think has undoubtedly improved from 1.0. You know, like 1.0 is just like the simplest toy box that now you can build in 5 seconds, and then the second one they kind of made a more elaborate toy box, and then this year in 3.0 it was like its own world, like its own playset almost. You know, it's like so yeah, I think Infinity is in the lead as far as that concerned, but it's, I mean, I'm also, Infinity is way more complicated in the long run than the stuff you can do in Mario Maker.
So do you think that, so you alluded to it, the kind of onboarding or teaching from 1.0 to 3.0 is, it's been iterative and it's progressively gotten better. Do you think Mario Maker is able to, I don't know, be less effective in that teaching simply because it's simpler, or do you think it's just a byproduct of this being the first iteration like 1.0 was for Disney Infinity?
Yeah, maybe it's just kind of simplified, because one of the guys on our staff was actually rattling off all of these things that weren't in it. He's like, there's no desert levels, there's no snow, you can't do that. I was like, oh yeah, I didn't think about all that stuff. So yeah, like we were kind of questioning, like, is there going to be a Mario Maker 2? Is this something to support with DLC? And like I was saying, it's not, it doesn't take you that long. And part of the fun, kind of like when Minecraft first came out, part of the fun is just figuring out what the hell is going on. Right. Like some of the items, if you shake them on the gamepad, they'll change into something else. So like enemies will mutate into different versions of them and stuff. which is fun. At the same time, it's kind of, every single time I gotta, get
It's
that guy,
fun
I gotta,
that
like,
first
shake it.
couple times.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the biggest thing that just building wise that Mario Maker has on Infinity is it's 2D. So when you're building on that pad, it's awesome. It just everything, like, it doesn't matter how small or complex like toy boxes get. Whenever I'm lining up a block, I always have to like move the camera around just a little bit, be like, I think it's lined up, but let me just check. And then like Mario Maker, it's like boom, like I build stuff so quickly because it's like I know where that goes. There's no question, because it's 2D and you're just
Right.
you're building it on a big iPad basically. So the tactile form of Mario Maker, I think, is successful.
It has been frustrating as an Infinity fan to see all the hype behind Mario Maker, and it's like we've had toy box capabilities for years now, and it's just like it's so frustrating. And obviously Mario has a huge nostalgia. I'm hugely nostalgic for Mario, and I literally feel like buying a Wii U just to get Mario Maker. But it's like, come on, like we've had a pretty powerful toy box for 3 years now, and no
Yeah.
one ever seems to get excited
Yeah.
about it. Like even now with Star Wars, I was banking so heavily that the Star Wars fans would be like, OMG, you can do fan fiction, make your own Star Wars games. I thought people would be so pumped about that toy box, and it just has not happened. Granted, I don't think Disney's done the best job of sort of promoting that fact. The fact that it's like, hey, you can come in and make a 4-player X-Wing fighter toy box. Like, where's that messaging? But anyway, it has been frustrating to see all this hype about Mario Maker. It's like it's a one-trick pony 2D platformer, and we can do that and so much more.
Yeah, it is a nostalgia play for sure. I mean, it's something, and that's what kind of struck me while I was playing Mario Makers. I'm like, when I go into the toy box, I'm like, wow, what can I do? And when I got into Mario Maker, I was like, I don't know, make a level, like, and that's on me. Like I'm like, I don't know what that says about me or my personality, but like it didn't, like, when I played Little Big Planet, I had all sorts of ideas. It's like, oh, I want to do this. Like when I go into a world of Minecraft, it's like, oh, I want to build a pyramid or whatever. With Mario, I'm just like, I want to leave it up to the guys that do a really good job at this. Whereas I think like you go into the play set, you go into stuff that people build and just gives you ideas. Like, oh, I know what I want to do with this now. So yeah, I think I find Infinity much more inspiring, even though NES was the first console I owned. Like I grew up with this company. I played Game and Watch back in the day. Like I was way into everything that they did. But just not as wasn't jumping and leaping at the opportunity to like make the Mario level I always wanted to make. Whereas Infinity, like I have yet to run out of ideas.
I wonder if there's a way to kind of bridge those two concepts. So you have kind of smaller experiences. The creation is more simplified in Mario Maker, but I wonder if you can kind of recreate those experiences to not make it as overwhelming if they're guided scenarios. They kind of did that with 3.0, where you have the R2D2 and C3PO level, but that's just teaching you kind of how to use the toy box tools. I wonder if there's like a magic.
I think they tried to do that with the templates, but again, no one, like Disney don't even promote this stuff. No one even, I guarantee you, everybody that we reviewed this game has no idea what a template is in the toy box. And in a way, it's still complex, because yes, it's like, here's a group of logic toys that are all connected up together. Good luck. Like, even I don't think I've ever placed down a template, but the idea is there. It's like, here's a game in a box that you can unpack, just place where you want, and you've got really cool logic attached to whatever you're building. But again, it's just a little bit too work it out. There's no instructions in the game. There's still no, and I pushed hard for this with the developers, just to give us some documentation. So on each logic toy, we can hit a button and just get, even if it's just a text description of what this actually does. Here's what this property will do. Like there's none of that. There's no manual that ships with the game. It's really complex, and I think they could do, like, imagine how cool it would be if, like templates, you could just say, I want to make a 2D platformer, and it's like bango, the camera's all set up and it's locked, and all you have to do is place the platforms effectively in your platformer, go theme it to Aladdin, bang, there's your Nintendo inspired 2D platform for Aladdin. That would be so much more I don't know, I want to say easier, I guess. The thing I'm picking up on is people seem to be either you're a themer or you're a logic person. You love the logic, you love setting all that stuff up, or you love just theming your box.
Yeah.
It's a rarity to be someone who is both passionate about both and good at both. And all those people, they're in the elite masterclass that are winning in the top 5 every week. And so I don't know, maybe that's bigger, but I still bring it back to, and we're going to talk about this briefly about this Splatoon gate that happened this week, about Nintendo fans throwing their arms up in the air and just abusing Disney for like ripping off Splatoon. And I just think it comes back to messaging. I think if Disney were more talking about the toy box, about what it can do, I don't think this would be an issue. I thought this was something to be praised when people create other games, in-game creators. So I don't understand. I just think a lot of Nintendo fans thought, oh no, you've created this game, which technically they have, to rip off Nintendo, but it's just funny. And so I'm sorry if we can replicate your game so quickly in the toy box, but I don't know. It just seems weird to me. What do you? I don't know. What do you think, Brandon? About how would you describe the? What would you do in the toy box to make it more attractive to the greater? Because as you said, who can scoff at the idea of making Star Wars games? What do you think's missing?
Right.
What's the missing messaging?
Well, yeah, it's interesting what you were saying. Like they, first of all, just talking about the Splatoon thing. Like it's funny that that people got up in arms about that, because when like Vignacchi, when they were selling the game discs from last year, like he was like, "This is Diablo. That's what it is. Like that's a game that we made. Like we, the perspective, like the way everything's shaped, like the angle, the camera, like that is, or even like tower defense, like he would bring up specific games and stuff. And so like I think that's always the attitude. I guess Nintendo, like I new to like Nintendo fans that like didn't play Infinity, yeah, that, I mean, when I first saw that, it's interesting when you brought that up, and I was like, with the Splatoon thing earlier, I'm like, I never heard about it. And like, oh yeah, there was like the mode that they released, and I remember seeing the picture of it and thinking,
I've got it up here. Actually.
oh, that's great, like good for them. That's really cool that they did that. That's really clever, because like they have the game actually, we saw footage beforehand of these guns, that can, those were in 2.0, right? Like the guns that can color everything. Mm-hmm. And so like they had the elements to do it from the old game, and so it was just, it's not something that, like, if it was something new that they were adding, that would be super shady. If they were like, oh, we're adding all of these, squid helmets and color guns, you're just like, wait, what are you guys doing? But if it's like, look at the stuff that's already in the game, and hey, we made Splatoon, like, it just seemed kind of obvious and upfront. But when they hired the mentors, they actually did a bunch of videos that I kind of got hooked on for a little bit, where like, Papa Echo or one of these guys would take you through a specific creativity toy and show you how to use it. And it'd be neat if that was in game, if like you could access maybe like some videos, or access like it would like load up a toy box that's specifically built just for that creativity toy, so you could go in and like learn it. And maybe even like track your progress. It'd be fun to kind of make a game out of using all of the creativity toys, just like they've done. And like, that might be kind of what they're focusing on now. You even see that in games like Madden, like as they introduce elements, they'll slowly like incorporate them more into big modes. You're actively like, you're not just doing this on the side, but you're actually like, progressing and playing a game. So you're enjoying it as you're learning at the same time. I think the challenges other than that are probably the best thing in the right direction. It's like, whatever they want their community to build, they need to dictate by what kind of challenges they do. And clearly with Battlefront coming out, they would be seriously remiss to not do some kind of vehicle-based like combat scenario. That's what I want to build. I want to do like a capture the flag, where you have like 2 planets and then just a war zone in between, and there's all these vehicles that spawn, and so you just like get an X-wing, fly over, get a thing, fly back.
That sounds awesome.
Build it.
Yeah, that'd be
Probably
sweet.
only 30 hours work.
Yeah.
We got to lead the way, Jason. We'll build the cool stuff, and then
Pioneer it.
And then they'll know. Yeah.
That's an interesting point. So guide the community with these challenges. Do you think challenges that are less thematic focused but more tool focused, do you think that might be a good way to incentivize the community to learn these logic tools?
I wonder if they had specifically had it set up that you had to use a specific tool, or like you had to use a theme or something. Like they had little categories that they would fill in every time, where it's like, this has to be somewhere in your toy box. I think just through some kind of community outreach, because it's insane how many creative toys are in there, man. I mean, just like going through
Yeah.
that menu, there's so many things. I think probably in all of the time I've been playing Infinity, I think I've probably used like 7.
Right.
And there's like 60 of them, you know. They actually like put one in, figured out how to do it, you know.
Yeah. It grows every year too, and it's going to just continue
yeah.
to, and that's just like kind of it's mind-boggling. I think people forget about that a lot of times. Is that 3.0 is the next version of this game, and so if you take it for just a number, just a version, then that's one thing. But you also got to remember that the game is so much bigger than that because of all the past content.
You can imagine like the kind of toy boxes people are used to building, and then all this new toys, all these new creative toys come out. So then they're not only just going to focus on those, they're going to use that to add to the stuff that they're already building. So these toy boxes are getting like so much longer. Again, kind of reinforces the concept of like having a smaller toy box experience, you know, that like doesn't replace everything, but it's just kind of like if they had a challenge that they're like literally just the path creator, just that's it, go, you know.
Yeah.
And maybe even like you give them even less time to do a smaller one. It's like you have a day, they're due tomorrow morning, you know. And, kind of like mirroring the summit, you know, just do kind of a quick thing and create quick awareness around.
It's a good idea.
Give out a figure or something.
It's a question of like, has
yeah,
the developers changed their mentality based on what the toy box artists are doing? I mean, as I said, I took Pirates of the Caribbean ride to the nth degree in 2.0. The 3.0 shape one's looking awesome, but it's like that's sort of a little bit outside of the scope that I'm sure the toy box was originally intended for. Like, I'm sure it was originally intended build blocks, knock them down type level of toy box interactivity. And I just wonder whether they got so excited about what the community was creating. And I'm the same. I don't really want to spend 20, 30 minutes in someone's toy box unless I'm completely jazzed about that character. But it's more a case of I don't want to spend an hour trying to find the toy box that I'm going to have a really good time in, so to speak. So, yeah, and as a developer, yes, we are developers, toy box developers. It's kind of nice to know that, I mean, we build them because we like people playing them. We like it when our toy boxes are on Toy Box Tuesday. We like it when we hear from people on social media. It's like, hey, this is a really good toy box. And so the more of that we get, I think the more people will be interested in getting involved in the toy box because it's a little bit more, I just think it's a little bit still hidden. I feel like if you're not owning the game, there's not much exposure outside of what we do here at Toy Box, Disney Infinity TV and Toy Box Tuesday for that content. You're either an Infinity fan and you're aware of it, but that's where it sort of stops.
So do you think that this kind of is a good segue to our next news item of the week? Do you think part of that is just getting the game in as many hands as possible? The very brief kind of display of Disney Infinity being included with Apple TV. Apple TV was announced last week, and during one of their sizzle reels, they showed off Disney Infinity TV, or excuse me, Disney Infinity, and I was having a conversation with TJ from Pixar Post about this. I'm like, you know what? I'm not that excited because the iOS and Android versions are great, full featured, but they're freemium, and that worried me on the TV. JV came out and said this week that it's going to have a Bluetooth base. It is going to be a console quality release, and just delivered to another platform. I mean, it's crazy how many different ways that you can play Disney Infinity now. And do you think that, you know, just over time, the attrition of new players is going to help with all of these issues?
I think it's cool. I think, as I said, like developers, you're pumped. If you've got a game, you want it on as many platforms as possible. It's so different to us toy box artists. The more people that are out there to potentially play toy boxes, the more motivated we are to make them because it's a greater pool of people to create it. That's that side of it. But I don't know. What do you think, Brand?
I don't see that moving the needle for them a lot. I think it's kind of cool. It's cool on paper. It's cool for exposure, just kind of talking about, you know, all the different people that the brand is reaching. But I just see, like, one of the things that I was kind of alerted to this year is that, like, I was talking with John Drake from Sony a little bit about, because I was just like, man, PlayStation loves that Infinity, don't you guys? Like, you know, like, even at the summit, it was just like, you get a PlayStation, you get a PlayStation. So I was like, wow, you guys are making like a really big investment. And he's like, yeah, it's tough to get people it's tough to get PS3 owners to get a PS4 and Xbox 360 owners to get an Xbox One. because they're, you know, like the games that I play, Infinity being one of them. If this is like the game that's going to keep my kids happy, you know, 6 months out of the year, that's fine on Xbox 360, on PS3. Like, there's no need really for me to upgrade. So because it's such a big install base, like I don't see that kind of being like, oh, I got my Apple TV. Well, sure, I'll just get Infinity. Like, I think that I see that as like the family has a meeting about that, and they're like, okay, your dad and I, we've been talking, and we're gonna get it for this console. You know, it's not just. It seems like, you know, but at the same time, it is such an accessible game that it fits the style of what Apple's doing in that way. But yeah, I don't think that's gonna, like, you're not gonna see that huge uptick in you know, toy box downloads or something like when that happens.
My biggest issue with it is that I feel like it's cool when you talk about Disney Infinity as a platform, but until they sort out this whole sharing of content, like, it'd be sweet. I'd get it for my kids if I knew that my playset save was going to transfer. I didn't have to reshare my figures, redo all the power discs. If I knew that I could put Infinity on my mobile, Apple TV, my console, no matter where I play, I can play and continue the one progress.
Yeah.
That's a game changer, because then you will get Infinity fans to buy on multiple platforms because of the ease of it. I don't have to let my kids touch my PS4; they can go play on the other device. So, but they've got a long way to go to sort of cross that gap of that true cross-platform, you know, ambiguity, as being able to like transfer all that save information. It'd be really handy.
You just package that exclusive R2D2 figure with the Apple version.
Don't say it. Everyone's gonna buy that version even if they don't have an Apple TV, right? Just like Lex and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Do you think it was a big statement for the game? Kind of like what you just said, Brandon, about Sony being so supportive of the game. Do you think there's any significance that Disney Infinity was one of the few games that was showed during that presentation, albeit briefly, but shown nonetheless?
Yeah, you know, when it comes to events like this, especially announcements that are made at big, you know, speeches and conferences and presentations and stuff, I always wonder if it's just like calendar. You know, it's like it just launched, it's very family friendly, it's ready to go. You know, it's still getting kind of press. Like, I wonder how much of this was Disney lobbying on their part to like, we really want to be involved in this, and Apple just kind of looking at the landscape and realizing like, what can we get? Like, what's actually easy to port over and what's not going to really tax the system, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I'm curious. Every time something like this happens, I wonder who called first. Like, that's why I asked with Star Wars and Disney. I'm like, who made the call? Like, who, you know?
Yeah.
And Avalanche was like, that was us. Definitely like, hello.
Shoehorn that lightsaber in 1.0, right?
I'd like to make Yoda, please.
Yeah.
So yeah, who knows? But yeah, I think it's good around the, you know, across the board. It's good news. You know, it's good news for Apple. It's good news for Disney.
It means more figures for
Portal,
us.
man, I want that.
That's it.
Wireless base. What's happening, man? I guess.
Yeah. Now we see it on the Vita. We're about to see it on the Apple TV. Come on, bring it to the other console. Every single player wants that, right?
Yeah.
Maybe next time. Maybe next time.
You know me, I want rid of the base. Let's go digital, all digital in-game.
Well, Jason, that's not going to happen.
No.
Because we want our physical R2D2 and C3PO.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Awesome. Well, Brand, I want to make sure that we're respectful of your time. Is there anything else before we kind of end the show tonight? Infinity that you want to discuss? I'll give you a chance before we end things to plug what you do and everything. But anything Infinity focused you want to bring up?
No, I'm every Tuesday. I try to stream the first thing in the morning. Tomorrow I'm going to try to get up and get there by 10 a.m. There's always something. They always like stream something crazy like that, like on like the Dreamcast or something the night before, and so I have to like move cables, and then it's like too late by that point. So like, apologies to everybody that watches that show. But yeah, I just can't wait. Like I dabbled in Inside Out and Rise of the Empire, but like have yet to finish those play sets. Nice. So like looking forward to doing that. I'm real good at starting toy boxes, terrible at finishing them, so I can't wait to like actually like get in there and like wrap up. I was working on Facility from GoldenEye. I got to finish that map up. But yeah, just excited for the year. It's funny. It's like you get back to this point. We're so excited at launch, and then we're like, oh wait, yeah, there's so much stuff that is yet to come out that they're just going to release down the year. And it's just like every month we're like in between some announcement or some thing happening. Got Vinyaki to like kind of announce that a Disney playset thing is coming, like, because I told him I'm like, hey, you got Pixar, you got Marvel Battlegrounds, you got 3 Star Wars, you haven't said anything for Disney, and he's like, well, there's more playsets coming out, and I was like, okay, so interpret that as you will, but yeah, that's something that I think is missing, because like when 3.0 started, and you're in like Mickey with the car. And you're driving like with Donald, I was like, where's this playset? My God, this is amazing. Like, I've never played this game. I was hoping Epic Mickey 1 or 2 would be something like this, but just like actually like diving into, the old animated, worlds, and actually like, like making a Toontown game, or just something where just like all the Disney characters can go. Like the opening cinema to the Toy Box Takeover is hilarious. Yeah. It's just like, yes, more of this. Like, we could, you should have me on a couple weeks, because I get Lego Dimensions soon for review. There's a lot of stuff from Lego Dimensions that Disney Infinity could learn, and actually kind of affected my review score this year. Just realizing, like, if you really want to sell it as a complete experience, like, it needs to be part of the experience. And I think like Infinity separates a lot of what they sell, and it's just like you need, all this stuff needs to be put together if you really want to like have that awesome launch. If you really want to get people excited. But hey, they're doing Star Wars this year. They could have done whatever they wanted to. I mean, like, there was no way to fail this.
It was a gimme, for sure. Absolutely.
And and just more Star Wars stuff coming. Rebel Season 2, the episode 7's in December. Like, still Battlefront, is coming. So if you're a Star Wars fan, this background's going to be up for a while.
Yes, it is. Well, awesome, Brandon. So what is your Twitch, and tell everyone a little bit about your website.
You can just go to GameTrailers.com. That's my website. You can follow me at GameTrailersVO on Twitter, and we're at twitch.tv/GameTrailers. You can also find us at youtube.com/GameTrailers. We started streaming stuff on YouTube. Haven't streamed Infinity yet, but that's where you can find us. And as I said, it's sometime on Tuesday. We put up our schedules every Monday, so you can see that week's schedule. But I try to do it as early as possible because we're big in Europe, Jason. We're big overseas, so.
That's right.
Every time we like do a stream early or something, people are like, "Oh, thank you. I don't have to like watch at 2 a.m." But really quick. So you were there with me at D23, and you were lucky enough to get the exclusive that they had at D23. And Jason, I don't know if you were just burnt because you didn't get to go to D23. Like, did that exclusive interest you at all? Like, was that?
No.
Is that like how is your toy your disc collection? Like, is that a whole? Is that like is that like really like tearing away at your soul?
It's not tearing away. I do have some gaping holes in the collection. The D23 Mickey has been offered to me from a few people, but I have not yet received that disc.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will decided to hoard it, even though we're a team. That just makes sense that he goes to all the events and gets all the exclusives. Right. That's sort of the underwritten rule.
Vinyaki was on my show last week. He gave me 13 of them. So
there you
I was
go.
Like, oh, first person I can think of. I'm gonna talk tomorrow on Toy Box Tuesday about trying to figure out how to give those away. I was like, oh no, don't burden me with these. Oh no.
Yeah.
Go to Disneyland, just throw them all in the air.
Yeah.
Well, fine. If you're not interested, then I'll put that over there. That's somebody who's happy about it.
Let me know when you figure out how you're gonna give those away. I'll make sure that our audience, because we're constantly getting people asking us, and talking to us about it. So I want to make sure we send them your way when.
I'll send at least one of these guys your way, and you can figure out how to hand that out to your community.
You have to tie it to the Toy Box Challenge. You have to. It's Toy Box Tuesday.
Yeah. There you go.
It's like, what else do? You make people make stuff?
And then I'll enter with everyone else. I'll enter with everyone else, and then I'll legitimately. That's my thing. Like that disc was a D23 exclusive according to JV, so I do not deserve it. I was not at D23, therefore not eligible to receive.
Oh, Jace, you deserve anything and everything that's coming to you, man. If you can get your hands on it, you deserve it.
Well,
especially with this game.
We'll see. But I think that's my recommendation. I think it has to be a Toy Box competition to win that
right.
win that disc.
Well, I got a bunch of discs, so I can have a bunch of competition.
There you
Like,
go.
you know, one per month. I can last a whole year.
Just hey, make someone build your Battlefront play
Yeah.
toy box that you wanted.
Make the first
well, too much
first
power, right?
category
It's-
the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction,
corrupt
and I've got
me,
it.
Yeah.
Because that's done. That ride is
Fair
nearly done. It is ready to go. So, and Haunted Mansion, you and me, Will.
Well, this is so much fun, you guys. Brand, that's awesome about the Power Disc. We appreciate that, and I'm sure the fans out there will as well. Love Toy Box Tuesday. Everyone, make sure you go check that out, and then check out all the other things you do. If you're just interested in video games, you are a premier place to find all things video games. And great stuff, and we really appreciate having you on this week. And a fellow,
It was
not
fun.
only
It was a
just-
lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been.
Twist my arm and talk about Infinity for an hour anytime, man. No, yeah, definitely, because big stuff happening. You know, if we want to do like a Star Wars wrap up, or you know, maybe after more stuff comes out, we should definitely chat again soon.
Absolutely. Well, you're always welcome, and we'll make sure that we schedule something. We'll start getting it on the books soon because you're such a busy
Cool.
guy.
Yeah, exactly. You know, months in advance.
Awesome.
Cool, guys.
Well, thanks, Brandon. Jason, thank you, and thanks everyone out there. And we hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And until next week, we hope your week is filled with infinite possibilities.